let's just take a second to think about how far the world has come when it comes to gender identity acceptance, transgenderism, and just simply accepting people for who they are. This would not be possible without the icons that paved the way. Today, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Christine Jorgensen. She is the first person to have sex reassignment surgery. I'm going to explain who she is, the reactions that resulted from her sex reassignment, and her overall impact. I will go ahead and go into depth about her background and her personality, the public and the media reactions based around her gender reassignment, as well as her achievements and overall impact for the LGBTQ and trans community. So first, I'd like to go ahead and speak about my first main point, which is who Christine Jorgensen is. She was born as George Jorgensen Jr., May 30th of 1926 in Bronx, New York. Living her life as George, she was drafted into the Army at the young age of 19. In a newspaper article in the 1998 issue of Newsday, Donald Myers says, and I quote, "All 93 pounds of him, he felt like a woman griddled in the wrong body." So in 1950, when she was 24 years old, she traveled to the Dutch State Hospital in Copenhagen, where she began her gender reassignment surgery process, as well as her hormone injections. I'd like to go ahead and show you. This is her as George, and this is her after her reassignment surgery. Next, I'd like to go ahead and speak about who Christine is emotionally. Christine's personality changed drastically once she began her sex reassignment surgery. Growing up, she was super timid, very introverted, didn't like engaging in physical activity or sports, and simply didn't feel like one of the boys. After feeling animosity towards men in the Army and moving forward with her gender reassignment, all of this changed. She actually became widely known for her charismatic personality, fierce activism, and her overall bravery. Furthermore, she actually had to use this bravery in order to deal with outside party reactions. As you can assume, reactions and headlines posted almost immediately. Christine Jorgensen's reassignment surgery actually got leaked in December of 1952, and the media was the first to react. In a newspaper article in the 1989 issue of Newsday, Michelle Ingracia says, and I state, in pre-feminist days, there was no end to the cutting appellations. The press described her as mankind's gift to the male species, tops and swaps, turnabout gal, you name it. They had a bunch of different headlines. Now, although these weren't the most harmful headlines, they were extremely insensitive, as you can tell. Now, as a result of these headlines, the public became extremely exposed to Christine Jorgensen's reassignment surgery. They did follow the media intently when it came to Christine's reassignment. Now, also, of course, they had many questions when it came to how George became Christine. And ultimately, rumors began to come that stated that Christine was simply a fake. And now an article in the 2006 issue of Magazine of History, Joanne Meyerowitz, says, and I quote, "In early April, in the New York Post, published by a nationally syndicated 6-part series, presented Jorgensen as a woman, basically stating she was never previously a man. The Post revealed that Jorgensen was not, as some early news reports stated, intersex. And although this was quickly shot down by her doctors in Denmark, who did state she was a man prior to her reassignment surgery, this just shows you how involved the public was." Now, aside from the negative publicity, Jorgensen was also known for being successful. She had many social achievements and ultimately fame. She was a media-appointed spokesperson for transgenderism, and she ultimately focused on diminishing negative reactions when it came to gender reassignment from the public. She also began a career in entertainment, and in a book published by Salem Press in 2009, titled Modern Scandals, Carl L. Bankston says, and I quote, "She was charismatic and confident in her interactions with the media and met many famous people as her career in entertainment progressed." Now, an example of how Christine used her fame and ambition is by transforming the trans community as a whole. Christine ultimately played a role in how far the trans community has come today. And starting in the 1960s with Christine by their side, the trans community did align for their civil rights. And today there are hundreds and thousands of transgender people in the world. And there's trans youth groups, there's LGBTQ activist communities online and in person. gay pride parades. There are a bunch of different communities today. And unfortunately, Christine did pass away at the age of 62 in 1989 from a battle with cancer. But it would be safe to say if she were here with us today, she'd be extremely proud of how far the trans, gay, and lesbian community has come. Now let's go ahead and recap what we've discussed today. Today I informed you on Christine Jorgensen's background and her personality, the media as well as the social interactions or reactions that came about from her gender reassignment, as well as her achievements and her overall impact for the LGBTQ and trans community. So the info provided should just show you how one person's bravery can make a lifelong impact for people everywhere. If Jorgensen can make a lifelong impact by simply being who she's meant to be and going against the norm, so can we. So let's go ahead and keep her legacy going and stand up for who we are and inspire others to do so as well.